Hi folks, Don Roley here with my blog. Normally I prefer to do the written word, but since this is in response to a lot of comments made on my YouTube videos, it seems more appropriate to post it here. Now you have to understand something about me. My passion, my purpose in life is basically to make sure that there is tons of correct information about ninjutsu available in English. As part of that, I have gone out and I have translated and written this many books so far on the subject. But the yin to that yang in the effort to get correct information out there is that I have to correct a lot of the falsehoods and misconceptions out there. And a lot of these falsehoods come from frauds such as Frank Dux. The reason is simple. Despite having no training or experience, knowledge, whatever, in the subject, their ego forces them to talk a lot to gain attention, so people admire them. So they tell tall stories, interesting stories, etc., that have no basis in reality. And then it's up to people like me to clean up the mess. So I have put out videos exposing a lot of Frank Dux' lies, and a lot of his fans, students, or become both, have tried to shut me up with various tactics. They don't try to prove what Frank says about training and stuff like that, or deal with logic. They try to shut me up using these three tactics, which I want to go through. The first one is basically nobody cares. They say nobody cares. Well, if nobody cares, why are you watching my videos? I don't care about, Princess Pony, but I don't watch an episode and at the end says nobody cares. If you don't care, don't watch, okay? Enough of that. 2, why aren't you doing something more productive? Well, I don't think you can say that I haven't been productive. I mean, before I came along, how many books by Fujita Seiko were available in English? Now I've got his autobiography, The Last Ninja of Koga. I've got his book on the secret tricks of Budo. I've got his book on Shuriken Jitsu, his book on ninjutsu. I'm coming out with 2 more later on. Next month, hopefully, my translation of the Bansen Shukai, Shoninki, and Nimpiden will be available on Amazon. I think you could say that I'm productive. But more importantly, it takes about as much time for you to watch this as for me to make it. So if you're worried about people being productive, why are you sitting in front of your computer screen watching this instead of doing something more productive? I like doing these things, this thing on the side. Most of my efforts is putting out translation. I put out the occasional stuff exposing Frank Dux for the incompetent fraud he is. Okay, so enough of that thing. Number 3 is the big one. Typically, they try to say that I'm some sort of coward that won't face Frank Dux and hide behind a computer screen or whatever. They phrase it like, would you say that if Frank Dux was standing in front of you? Or would you say that, in front of whoever? Or why don't you go and talk to him instead of online? Well, if you think that I'm afraid to talk to somebody face to face, you haven't seen the video Ron Collins put up of the time that he showed up at my seminar with 4 people from the Black Dragon Society to try to intimidate me. They obviously thought that, as soon as they showed up, I'd be like trying to talk my way out. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Didn't work that way. I called the Black Dragon Society a bunch of egomaniacs. I called them a bunch of liars. I told one guy to his face he was an incompetent fraud. And when it came down to it, and it was clear that I was willing to get on the mat and beat the hell out of Ron Collins, he turned around and got out of there as fast as he could. Don't try to say that I'm not brave enough to face someone. But really, it's a matter of case that it's Frank Dux that doesn't want to face anyone. He doesn't want to face people that criticize him. There was an event in Chicago by the Black Dragon Society, and some people said, hey, let's go talk to Frank. In response to that, Frank and the sponsors of the event said that anyone that was not a member that showed up would be arrested. That's not an isolated case. Dux made the mistake of going to Buffalo, where one of his ex-students was, and making a comment about turning him into a vegetable maybe if he ran across him. And the student basically for 3 days or so made videos. I'm going to be right here, Frank. I'm going to be right here at this time. If you want to do this, come and see me. 3 days. He posted videos of him at a gym with the time. Dukes never showed up. The basic fact is Frank Dukes really can't fight. And he knows that, and he doesn't want that to be proven on a video that can be shown to the world. You know, you know, he claims to be a great fighter because he won the Kumite. Well, the Kumite never happened. He claims to be, have fought with the CIA, but he wasn't a member of CIA or a secret agent of any sort. The one fight we know about that's verified is one between him and a guy named Zane Frazier at an event. And Frazier beat the hell out of him. He ended up in the hospital. Of course, Dukes tries to explain it away with like different stories. One, I've heard it was an ambush by several people. Another one, he's brass knuckles, etc. But the basic police report just seems to point to two idiots fighting it out and Dukes losing badly. He now wears sunglasses for something related to that because his eyelid is, or maybe it's this one. So, again, Frank Dukes doesn't want to face his critics. I would love to give him a spot and film him as I grilled him about something. Just to give you an example, there's a guy, I think his name is Kadore. He's French. And Dukes has been trying to use his video to say it's him fighting in the Kumite. But Kadore's son has basically said, if you ever say that that is you instead of my father, I am going to sue you. So now Dukes is still trying to make people think that it's a video of him, but he doesn't dare say it and he doesn't dare deny it. So, if you're on a forum and the video comes up and you ask him directly, he'll ignore it or delete your comments if he can, or change the subject, etc. If I could get a GoPro or a film of me asking him, is that you or Kadore, I would love the chance. But Frank Dukes is never going to let that happen. Which brings me to the most important part of this third argument against me. Why are you guys saying I should face Frank Dukes instead of Frank Dukes making these invitations, challenges, or whatever you want to call them? It really looks bad for Dukes when I point out that it's his fans, his students, that are trying to say that people should go to see him while he hides and cowers in the corner. I don't know if he's sending these people out to do this or if they're doing this on their own, but really, how bad does it make it look that Frank Dukes isn't willing to face people but let others challenge for him, which he will not honor when they show up, as based in the Chicago Black Dragon Society thing. So yeah, if you really want Frank Dukes to talk to me face to face, you're going to have to talk to Dukes. You're going to have Dukes issue the invitation. Don't talk to me, talk to Dukes. Until then, all these things that you're saying makes him look like a coward he is. Oh, speaking of cowards, internet challenges, Ron Collins, I'm just going to finish this up with the latest bit of drama. Those of you that know Ron Collins, the guy that basically is a fraud and went to jail for what he did to a 13-year-old girl. He went down to Florida a few months ago to make a big show of it, that he's willing to fight. He talked to a fight promoter called Berto about fighting a guy named Baron Shepard. When Baron Shepard showed up, he was like according to the witnesses, Ron Collins was like a deer in the headlights. He was so scared. So he'd go back home and he'd make a big deal about not being scared and being willing to fight. And nobody thought that he would go through with it, and it's been proven true. I've gotten news that's from the through the fight promoter that Ron has not gone out and got his physicals or anything like that. He hasn't been in communication with Berto, and nothing has been done. They can't do anything until the physicals are sent to them, and Ron refuses to send the physicals, so nothing's going to happen. And the fight promoters finally basically just said, I wash my hands of this. Nothing's going to happen. He's never going to do anything. Forget it. So yeah, so again, once more, Ron Collins avoids getting beaten the hell out of on camera in this case, by just doing nothing. So yeah, that's the latest drama. That's my point. Again, if you want me to face Frank Dukes and question him, I'm up with it. He's got to make the first move, just like Ron Collins has to make moves with his physical and isn't. Buy my books.